The imagery, the stories, the heartbreak, the gut wrench, the devastation out of the Middle East between Israel attacking the Gaza Strip following Hamas terrorizing Israel. There's a lot more interest in the Second Amendment of the United States citizenry. If you look at some of the latest headlines out of Israel, welcome in Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. We will talk about the latest in litigation for Illinois' gun control laws, where you got plaintiffs still waiting for an outcome of the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, but gearing up for an October 11th, that's tomorrow, hearing down in the Southern District challenging the gun and magazine ban. So we'll get to that, but I did want to share with you early this morning with a headline from the Times of Israel. And if you check this out, it says, as Hamas war rages, personal firearm activists see a surge in interest. This coming after, of course, that just absolutely unbelievable attack that Hamas conducted against Israel. But the Times of Israel saying that online petitions to ease gun permit rules gained 22,000 signatures in just 24 hours. So what is the status of firearm owners' rights in Israel? Well, gun control, the Times of Israel says, is relatively strict. They say that firearm licenses are generally only granted to those who can show a need for extra security in their line of work of daily life, meaning one of the key criteria for a private citizen to receive permission to own a firearm is where they live. It's interesting. It goes on further to discuss how Israel, the usual personal weapon allowed, it's a pistol with a limit of 50 rounds of ammunition, of 50 rounds of ammunition, and to qualify, one must be of a certain age, depending on the IDF service, live or work in an area that demands extra security, not have a criminal record, and pass a training course and background check, among other things. Other requirements is enough Hebrew language proficiency in a way that will allow questioning, understanding, instruction, and managing of registration as required. So that's interesting as well. But here you've got a growing interest of Israelis wanting to own personal, private firearms. And 22,000 petition signatures in just 24 hours. And you got to imagine this is really sparked by the images that we saw on social media over the weekend of Hamas terrorists not just paragliding into a festival and massacring dozens and dozens of people. I think one headline, and we'll get to all of that with a ton of headlines when we review what's going on in Israel. You've got a couple of hundred people killed at a music festival, and then the Hamas terrorists going door to door to take families out of homes. If they didn't get out of the house, they would set the house on fire. So you can imagine that it's not quite a free state when you have that type of brutality invading into your land. And the question there, of course, is here in the United States, is such a thing possible? I reflect back to a comment, a quote that's equated to the Japanese prime minister, though I think there's been some doubt. Regardless, the quote's rather fascinating. It's something to the effect of, they don't want to invade the United States because behind every blade of grass is an American with a rifle who knows how to use it. So we have this Second Amendment in the United States, and there's a lot of challenges to it, including right here in Illinois. So let's go ahead and take a look at the latest. Where you've got the Barnett case in the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, still no movement there. All right, the state hasn't even filed a reply to the plaintiffs asking a judge to consider a pistol brace ruling out of Texas. If you remember, we saw that last week, where that's the third such case that the plaintiffs are asking the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals to look at. It's happening in other districts. You've got the Hawaii butterfly knife ban that was essentially ruled unconstitutional. You've got the California magazine ban that was ruled unconstitutional. That's tied up in the appeals process. You've got a Texas court, federal court, saying that a pistol brace rule is unconstitutional, and a variety of other things as well. So the state has yet to respond to the Barnett plaintiffs, saying that they need to look at the Texas pistol brace ruling. They've responded to the Hawaii case and also the California case. But also, you've got that other case that is still pending, and it's Langley, all part of the Barnett case, because if you recall, the Barnett case in the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals is a consolidation of not just 4 cases from the Southern District, but also cases from the Northern District. Well, one of the 4 cases from the Southern District, the Langley case, that's still set here for a October 11th hearing down in the Southern District, 1:30 p.m. at the East St. Louis Courthouse with Stephen McGlynn as the judge. So that's going to be tomorrow. We'll obviously be covering that and bring you the latest there. But also, you've got another case where there hasn't been much movement. It's pretty high profile here in Illinois concerning firearms, and that is the law that allows for lawsuits against the state firearms industry from the states or from actors even outside of the states to sue the firearms industry. So that has been challenged in court, but no movement there. The state does have, in that case, they requested an extension to reply to the motion for a preliminary injunction in the lawsuit against the state's lawsuit that allows for lawsuits against the firearms industry. The state asked for an extension. They got that extension, and that's coming up. They have to file something no later than October 19th. So that's coming up in 9 days concerning the firearms industry lawsuit law that's being challenged in court. So, again, not too much by way of activity in the federal courts in Illinois concerning firearms legislation and laws, gun bans or firearm industry liability laws and such. But I think, again, just to reflect on the headline out of the Times of Israel about the growing interest in personal firearms and how they are hoping to relax things. Because right now, gun control, it's pretty strict in Israel, and they're only allowed 50 rounds for a handgun if they can follow certain criteria. So they obviously do not have that Second Amendment right in Israel.